For Your Ears Only for the week of January 15th and the South Carolina primary, I'm David Alpern.
I'm Catherine Herzog.
Those of us who believe in free markets and those of us who believe that, in fact, the whole goal of investment is entrepreneurship and job creation would find it pretty hard to justify rich people figuring out clever legal ways to loot a company.
I will suggest they're just vultures.
It's a very envy-oriented, attack-oriented approach, and I think it'll fail.
GOP presidential contenders Newt Gingrich and Rick Perry last week ratcheted up attacks on the sometimes dog-eat-dog fundamentals of capitalism itself, at least as practiced by frontrunner Mitt Romney in his Bain Capital years. And even far more staunch conservatives like Rush Limbaugh jumped to Romney's defense, warning Republicans not to play a Democrats' game.
But Newt's heavy TV campaign did help him up to second place in South Carolina, while Ron Paul's second-place finish in New Hampshire boosted him to third there. Beyond the money, media, and organizations in play, the GOP nominating race is also a real battle for the soul and direction of the party, divided over social, economic, and foreign policy priorities. Boston Globe Washington Bureau Chief Christopher Rowland wrote about that aspect of the race last week, and he's on the line now to say more for Your Ears Only. Welcome back to the program.
Good morning.
Beyond the personalities and the power of money and organization, how do you define the key GOP factions seeking to define their party?
Well, one of the things that was really interesting about the Iowa caucus results were how starkly they rendered the divisions within the Republican Party between social conservatives represented by Rick Santorum, the fiscal conservatives represented by Ron Paul, and then the business and foreign policy establishment represented by Mitt Romney. These three factions of the Republican Party are vying for really to define how the party is going to look going forward into 2012.
Many say the GOP needs another Ronald Reagan, though you note he'd be a moderate by today's standards. Was the real key Reagan's personality, charisma, movie star status, and who in the GOP field today comes closest on that score?
Well, Mitt Romney really wants to be sort of the overarching umbrella candidate. You can see it in his various appeals to fiscal conservatism and also in his discussion of patriotism. He recites, America the Beautiful at his campaign appearances. But what the thing about Reagan was that he was so good at articulating that optimism, that sense of mission about America's standing in the world in a way that was really compelling for everyday voters. I think that was one of the secrets to his success. Mitt Romney does not quite have that. He doesn't quite stir the passions of people the way Ronald Reagan was able to. And that really will be a challenge for him as he tries to unite these warring factions.
Newt Gingrich does at least come close in that arena, but he has so much negative baggage that it seems to counteract it.
He does. I think that Newt, definitely there's a really staunch group of conservatives who like Newt a lot. They remember the contract with America. They remember his strong fiscal message of restraint and cutting spending. And yet, after he left the speakership, he was definitely an inside-the-beltway operator. Mitt Romney has really exploited that well through his super PAC and reminding voters of the negatives of Newt Gingrich, and that's really what's been holding him down.
It's clear that Ron Paul has the resources and determination to go on to the end, but to what degree do you see South Carolina forcing out others with less money and support? Perry, John Huntsman, even Santorum, who dropped 30 points on some South Carolina polling last week.
It really seems that anyone who doesn't perform well in South Carolina is going to have to really reevaluate what their goals are heading into Florida. Florida is such an expensive state where you have to advertise on multiple media markets. You need to have a strong organization. I think Santorum, Perry, and Huntsman are, unless they come in, really have a surprising result in South Carolina, could be in serious jeopardy and may have to drop out.
There's a Tea Party convention in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina this weekend, but so far those folks have seemed almost as divided as the larger party. Any late indications of what may develop in terms of an endorsement, the strongest conservative or best against Obama?
Well, it's really true. They are so highly fractured. Even the gentleman who's organizing that Myrtle Beach convention, he's endorsed personally Newt Gingrich, but there's a number of other people in the South Carolina Tea Party coalition who have endorsed Santorum or Perry. So at the grassroots level, the Tea Party really has no consensus on whom they want to back. And then at the national level, you've got national groups like Freedom Works, Tea Party Patriots that have really sat on the sidelines and are not endorsing as of yet. The interesting thing is that you can see in the polls that a lot of Tea Party people, there's sort of a difference between Tea Party activists and Tea Party supporters. Tea Party supporters are definitely ready in many respects to get behind Mitt Romney if they have to.
What was your reaction to the Limbaugh reaction to Newt's attack on Romney's venture capitalism?
Well, I thought it was really interesting. I mean, Rush Limbaugh, calling basically for order within. Don't go after your own family members. I mean, this is a free market. Mitt Romney's business is capitalism at work. And he was basically calling Gingrich a foul as a referee, for the Republicans. I think a lot of people see this as hurting Romney, and by previewing attacks that are going to come from Obama in the general election, it doesn't do the potential frontrunner here any good, that's for sure.
That same line of attack was taken successfully against Romney by Ted Kennedy in their long-ago Massachusetts Senate race. Do today's tougher economic times make it even more dangerous for Romney? Is he now better able to counter it?
It's really interesting because I think that it does make it tougher. I think a lot of people are hurting. They're unemployed. So, to be showing images on television, of shuttered factories and doing interviews and depicting people in ads who have lost their jobs is a message that really resonates negatively for Mitt Romney. And, Gingrich as well as Obama in the general election will try to do this because it goes right at Romney's perceived strength. So it's trying to change his strength, which is his claim to be an American capitalist who can create jobs, and trying to turn it into a negative, showing that he was actually destroying jobs. And in that respect, it could be potentially devastating. Mitt Romney really needs to come up with a better way of answering this attack.
How does the new Republican Party rule on proportional distribution of delegates affect how long the race will go on, and therefore how important campaign war chests and super PACs will be?
I think it's sort of uncharted territory. Nobody quite knows exactly how this could play out, but certainly Ron Paul has already signaled that he wants to stay in for the duration and amass a number of delegates in individual states moving forward. To what end? It allows him to generate and create a pile of delegates that he could either use, at the convention or to use as leverage to get, the party to pay more attention to him. He's gaining power within the party. I think it also allows candidates to make an argument to their donors like, hey, look, I'm amassing some delegates, even small numbers. Give me money. I could make a surge. If Mitt Romney stumbles, we could have an alternative.
What are your sources saying about how willing rank-and-file Republicans will be to rally around a candidate who is not their first choice? I read that one poll showing Romney was the most acceptable fallback for a majority of those who don't already support him.
That's absolutely true. I think that when you ask people who their second choice is, Mitt Romney is always at the top of the list. And one of the startling polls that I saw coming out of New Hampshire was that even among Tea Party supporters, so 88% of Tea Party supporters said that if their favorite was not nominated, that they would get behind Mitt Romney. So I think that, in that respect, I think Mitt Romney definitely has a potential to begin to unify the party if he is the ultimate nominee.
Christopher Rowland is Washington bureau chief for the Boston Globe.
Quote from the news, "Too much of a maze." That was President Obama on complaints about the federal bureaucracy as he challenged Congress to restore presidential authority to merge and eliminate government departments to streamline the executive branch, a major campaign year ploy.
Next, inside the Tea Party, for your ears only.